We're back. Wes Gralapp returns with our Nebula, Beard, and Arsenal legal difference segment. Have you been injured on the water? Wes is here to continue our talk about maritime injuries. We started that last Thursday. So Wes, thanks for coming by. Good to have you again.
Thank you, Mark. It's good to be here. Last week we started talking about the Jones Act and what a Jones Act seaman was, and what we did was we went through that a Jones Act seaman is a member of a crew of a vessel. Today we're going to move to what a longshoreman is.
Okay.
Before we get to that, one thing we didn't mention last week is that a Jones Act seaman, if you're injured on a vessel, you have 3 years to make a claim against your employer. Okay? But don't wait 3 years, because you may not be a Jones Act seaman. And if you're not a Jones Act seaman, then you only have 1 year. And that leads us to our discussion about longshoremen.
Okay.
Okay, so a longshoreman is someone who works on basically land that extends over water. That can be your traditional shoreman who works on docks, right? Or it can be someone who works offshore, like on a platform, which is for oil drilling purposes.
Yeah.
And it is something that is permanently moored to the sea's surface, usually pipes, stanchions, things of that nature. So a longshoreman has limited rights as compared to a Jones Act seaman. What we see for a longshoreman typically is that they are entitled to a form of workers' compensation. And how they are entitled to that, though, comes from whether or not their employer is negligent, their co-employee is negligent, or they themselves can be negligent. If they are simply hurt as a result of being in the course and scope of their employment, then they're entitled to longshoreman benefits.
Okay, a land rig, offshore rig, what's the difference between those two?
Subtle differences. A land rig obviously is what we see driving down the road. In central Louisiana, we've seen that a lot in the northern part of the parish, or central Louisiana and the northern parishes, where they had the natural gas wells, and you could see the derricks and whatnot.
Yeah, that we see all over the place.
That's right. And then offshore rigs can either be platforms, or they can be a drilling barge, a drilling ship. They can be what we call a semi-submersible. These things are really neat if you ever see them move across water.
Yeah.
They're basically a floating platform with large, wide pipes that telescope down into the surface of the sea and hold it steady so that they can drill for oil.
It is amazing how those work, actually.
Yes, it is.
Think about it. Say your employer contests your workers' comp claim. What do you do then?
So if you're a longshoreman and your employer doesn't want to pay you as a result of an injury that you received, first and always consult a lawyer who's knowledgeable in the subject matter. But what happens generally is that the federal court system has an administrative law judge who will decide whether or not you're entitled to benefits. Those benefits are usually 2/3 of your lost wages based on an average weekly wage. They also can award you medical expenses if your employer contests whether or not you're entitled to seek medical treatment for the injury.
Yeah. How fast should you file a claim?
Well, typically speaking, your employer is going to dictate whether or not you should talk to a lawyer right away. Because most of the time your employer will speak to you and say, okay, here's what your rights are, this is what we're going to do for you. But oftentimes that is not the case. And you should not wait until there's an extended period of time. Usually within 30 days, a claim should be filed and you should be receiving payment.
All right. To get more information, if you have any questions on maritime injuries from Nebula, Beard, and Arsenal, what's the best way to contact you, Wes?
Call us at 561-2500.
A lot to kind of go through when you're dealing with maritime injuries, something a lot of people, just not that familiar with.
That's right, and it's a special class of worker.
It is.
Someone that is very important to Louisiana's economy.
Yep.
And very dangerous jobs, and we thank them for working hard to produce the oil that makes our country run.
There you go. Thanks for coming, Wes. Good to have you.
Thank you.
More to come.